afternoon and welcome to the Lunch Break Show. Once again, it's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Going to be asking a question today. Despite what we have seen in the political theater, from what we've seen on the media, regardless of what even just happened yesterday with Warnock beating out Herschel Walker, the question we're asking today is, why is Joe Biden, President Biden, why is he so unpopular? What is it about President Biden, despite many accomplishments at this point, bipartisan issues, why does he remain so unpopular, even with liberals? So, as I toss in my MAGA hat there, what is it about Joe Biden that's making him remain so unpopular? Because throughout the midterms, and there's no denying that the liberals performed better than expected during the midterms, most of the main candidates did not even want Biden on the stump campaigning with them. So what is it about President Biden that's so unpopular? Has he performed that poorly that even the liberals are promoting someone else to run? Now, folks are asking, well, shit, what has Biden accomplished? Okay, Biden, following up Trump, has accomplished a lot of bipartisan issues. I'm not going to pretend like the economy does not suck. I'm not going to pretend like we're not incredibly unhappy with what we're paying at the pump. The inflation sucks. But regardless of how you feel about the Biden economy in December 2022, there's no denying it's not the same as it was in March of 2022. No matter what you have to say about this economy right now, you also have to be honest and state that over the last 9 or 10 months, it has gotten better. It is not where any of us want it to be, but it would be disingenuous to pretend as though nothing has happened over the last 8 or 9 months with fuel prices, inflation, and things like that. It is getting better. And I'm not saying that in defense of Biden. I'm saying that because that is the absolute truth. Looking in the comments, Biden created a bottleneck of oil movement. Potentially because Biden is promoting the country to get off of fossil fuels. I don't know how you can do that without driving up the price of oil and pissing off the folks who promote fossil fuels, pissing off senators who have constituents in states that deal with fossil fuel energies, such as Manchin in West Virginia. I mean, his country makes money off of coal. Same thing in Pennsylvania. There's no way you can move us to alternative energies without pissing those folks off, because eventually their particular product is going to be used less and less. That's just evolution. That is what's going to happen. It doesn't have to happen under Biden, but it's going to happen. Folks in West Virginia that have their income is being supplemented by coal, they're going to see a reduction in value. That's just going to happen. Whether it's under Biden or some other president in the future, that's going to happen. Looking in the comments here real quick, every Democrat is very unattractive because they are pushing a culture of death. What is a culture of death? That question, I have to hold up my little tablet because for some reason I can barely see with all the sun. Do not be afraid, says a person. You're talking about cultures of death with a name like do not be afraid? Oxymoron? Let me go to the box. Jeff, why is President Biden so unpopular? Good afternoon, Jeff. Welcome to the program. It's going good.
You asked why Biden.
Yeah, go ahead.
You asked why Biden's so unpopular.
Yes.
Well, just to pardon my French, just to be an asshole, he literally opened the border. His first month in office, he canceled the Keystone Pipeline, which our infrastructure in this entire country, we need fossil fuels. We cannot go on. We don't have the infrastructure for electric vehicles like he's pushing. The only thing that's doing is giving him money in his pocket because he's getting money from his endorsers and all that. That's the only reason he's done it. He's done literally not a single thing to help this country, but only to try helping his way that he's seen from the people.
Okay.
He's never done.
Well, in regards to your comment about him opening up the border, how do you respond to the fact that his constituents did not want him? The people who supported Biden did not want him to take a tough stance on the border like Trump. So what is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to do what MAGA wants, even though he was not voted in by them?
No, what he was supposed to do is keep the American borders secure. And what Trump did, whether or not you're a MAGA supporter or not, you can definitely see Trump has done at the border. I mean, you'd have to be some kind of stupid to believe that us securing the border like it was is not good for America. You would literally have to be some kind of stupid. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to not want that in your country. I mean, look, it brought down the human trafficking rates. It brought down the opioid use. All these things that it lowered, and Biden just did it because Trump didn't, or he didn't want something that Trump wanted. He did it just to be a dick.
I think when you say, for instance, it brought down drug use and opioid use, are you suggesting that it was difficult to get high in America under the Trump administration?
More so than it is now. I mean, look at fentanyl uprisings. It's up like what? I think like 112% from when Trump was in office or more now.
Yeah, I would, and I understand your point. And by the way, appreciate that, Fancy Prancy. In my opinion, and I could be wrong, but in my opinion, opioid use and you mean of fentanyl and things like that, that stuff appears to be used more because folks who are pissed off at the way Biden is handling the border are making an issue of it. I mean, how many folks are suggesting that George Floyd died of fentanyl abuse? Trump was in office when that happened, so clearly you can get your hands on fentanyl. So,
yeah. Well, yeah, you can get your hands on a whole lot of drugs. I mean, if you're a criminal, if you're a drug user, you're going to seek it out and find it. I mean, yes, it would have been harder to find, obviously, but I mean, right now, I can walk literally 2 blocks from my house, which I couldn't do this when Trump was in office, and I can go get a bag of dope if I wanted to. That's the scary part, because
if a man like George Floyd, who's so poor he's making fake $20 bills, can get his hands on fentanyl, it obviously was pretty readily available even under Trump.
Well, yes. Okay, we can't sit here and deny that all drugs are readily available, but we're talking about the frequency in which that is as of now. And you can clearly see that it's more of an epidemic now than it was when Trump was in office. Yes, you could get it. Everybody could get it, but you'd have to try a lot harder, and there was a lot less of it in here.
I mean, how hard do you think somebody like George Floyd would have had to try? He didn't have a lot of resources and he had his hands on it. The point I guess I would make is I believe that under the Trump administration, fentanyl was just a simply newer drug. It was on the way to exploding. It just was a newer drug back then. If Trump was in office right now in 2022, I don't believe there would be a shortage of fentanyl in this country at all. It was just a newer drug that was just coming out.
But fentanyl is not a new drug. It's been around for 20 plus years.
Okay. So it was being dealt with. You guys suggested that Obama was for open borders. Why didn't we hear about an explosion of fentanyl abuse during Obama?
Because it wasn't as readily available. Now they found a way to synthesize it, and the cartels bringing it in and they're shipping it from China.
I think you're making my point. I think you're making my point. When I said fentanyl is a newer drug and you corrected me, you're saying, no, it's been around, but they just found a way to deliver it more efficiently. And that's what I'm saying, that all of what you're saying most likely would have happened under Trump as well. I don't think he would have slowed down drug abuse, certainly not by building a wall, because most of these folks that are coming here and staying in this country are not walking in through the Rio Grande or through the desert. They're coming in overstaying their visa. Many of them are flying in.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, you gotta it's a debatable situation. All stories have two sides. But with the way that this is now, and the border, okay, the border is more or less a symbolic type of, you have to come into our country, correct? You can't come in here, like, overstay your visas or jump across the Rio Grande. You have to come here through, good, the better channels, like citizenship and green cards, and do it the right way. And that's what it was. And it's thwarted off a lot of bad people, a lot of criminals. And compared, like the statistics the other day was, Trump had like 1.2 million people in his presidency come across the border illegally that they
Mhm.
caught, that they knew about. Biden has almost 4 million, and still rising.
Yeah, it looks bad.
And that's a
It
lot.
looks bad. But you
That's a
do
that's
realize
a
that
lot.
when Trump, you do realize that when Trump got elected, the caravans of migrants also increased. So under the Trump administration, he had more folks coming in than Obama.
Well, I never really liked Obama. I thought he was just an installment, and
Yeah, I get your
that's
point,
enough.
but I get your point, but I'm saying that even with Trump's tough policies on the border, he had more folks coming into the country than the guy before him.
I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms you're opening up there. I mean, because you, you can't say that the Democrats didn't have part to deal with that, because they were literally saying that they were going to give families what, like $4,000 to come across and come to the United States, or whatever it
Yeah,
was, that crazy ass number they were going to give people,
I get
and they're going to
so
give them.
So, in regards to the border, let me ask you, how do you feel about dreamers, meaning folks who have been in this country illegally because their parents brought them in here since they were a child? They didn't wait in the line, they didn't do it properly, but they've been in this country living under the radar. If one of those folks is caught, not necessarily committing a crime, but it just comes to light. Maybe their teacher or someone finds out and reports them. If you have a human that's been in this country since they were a toddler, and they're now in high school or something, and it's found out they are here illegally, do you believe they should be allowed to stay or automatically sent back?
I believe that they should be, um, like a citizen test, if you will. Not that you're trying to make them go through any kind of extensive, hardcore treatment or anything, but like something like, okay, we need to assess this person. Are you okay to be in this country? Do you follow the rules? Do you do this? Are you around this kind of background of people? What kind of thing can you benefit this country? Like, not
But
saying
that's
that
in
if you
high
don't.
school. You're going to ask these questions to a high schooler?
Well, no, I'm not saying like directly go there and then like pick on that person. I'm just saying, like, do an assessment of sorts to figure out where this person stands, because if they're good and nothing bad is happening, and they're good people, then you put them through the process and make them become a United States citizen.
Okay.
I'm not
So
saying.
So you are for the, because I'm talking about somebody who's been here since they were a toddler. Oftentimes they don't even know how to speak Spanish. Some of them don't even know how to speak Spanish. They know nothing about their homeland because this is all they've known. Now I don't know what sort of test you're suggesting giving them, but generally a test means you have two options. You can pass or fail it. So if you give them the test you're suggesting and they failed the test, are you going to deport them?
Okay, like the way I said that is for like more like older people that are committing crimes at a certain age or
Okay.
something. The kids, I do believe that they should have amnesty. I think that they should have a chance to stay here and do well. I think that they should get their green card or their citizenship, if if they're here in a good way. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So as long as they didn't have a criminal rap sheet, you're okay with folks who did not stand in line, did not do it properly, being allowed to stay. As long as they've been here and they haven't gotten in any trouble, you would allow them to stay.
yes, especially if they were here against their will and they've been here since they were young. I mean, that's only fair, because, like you said, they didn't come here, trying to stand in line or whatever. They were brought here without their consent. They were brought here by their parents and whatnot.
All right. You sounding like a liberal. Welcome to the program. I got to move it on. I appreciate you coming through, though.
All right, thank you.
Good talk. All right, folks. And that is what we're asking to, is that despite the performance of the Biden administration, the liberals in the midterms, obviously you see what has happened with Trump, even up to and including the loss of Herschel Walker last night. Why is Biden so unpopular? The Democrats are outperforming expectations. Generally, after the first midterms, a new administration is shellacked, as Obama would point out. Yet Biden keeps performing better than expectations, even though folks point to the economy and all of that stuff. Why is he so unpopular? Is it ageism? I want to know that from you guys. What's causing Biden to be so unpopular? Even with Trump doing things as controversial as meeting with folks who are saying intolerant, racist things, and even hinting around about completely terminating the Constitution. Yet it is Biden that is remaining unpopular. Why is that? Going back to the box, John R. Coles, I cannot pronounce that name, but to the program. John, good afternoon.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. And by the way, folks, hang on a second, John. By the way, folks who are watching, feel free to tap the screen. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Get your boy up to 5,000 likes. You know we always say it's a MAGA-friendly program. I do not ban, block, or censor anyone for their comments. John, talk to me.
Okay, love your show. I listen to it every chance I get. I love your comments and all. But one of the things I'm kind of concerned about is we have polling in these elections. We're going to have a red wave. It's going to be a red tsunami. Yeah. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. Then none of that happens. But then we talk about Biden's polls. Can they be false? Because Biden keeps winning. He keeps winning.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. Well, I didn't think, but let me present it to you this way. And I think you make a good point about polls are not always on their shit. But how many Democratic politicians running for office in the midterms did not even want Biden to campaign with him? So there's no denying, even with his own potential politicians that are going to run under him, he's not even popular with them, no.
No, we're talking about optics. Biden is winning. Biden has passed 80 bipartisan bills since he's been in the White House. Biden is, when I see all these low numbers and then you hear 60% of Republicans believe that the election was stolen. I don't believe it's 60%. I don't believe it's 60%.
Well, first of all, it's certainly not going to be 60% because 60% of Americans are not Republican and they're certainly not MAGA. It is, for the most part, most of the individuals that believe the election was not held properly are MAGA. And at this point, some would argue that MAGA is probably about 30 to 40% of the Republican Party. And Republicans are around, 50% of America, something like that. So, yeah, there's no way it would be anywhere near 60%.
I'm not saying 60% of the people. I'm talking about 60% of Republicans. And I kind of agree with you with that number also. I agree with you. With that number. But that's a losing strategy for him. That's a losing strategy. And when your last caller, when he said the pipeline, that's a losing strategy. That is, that's an absolute losing strategy. I don't think, and just to get to your question, I don't think the polls are treating Biden right. He's winning all over the place. He's winning all the midterms.
Yeah, last night. That's the same thing I'm saying. When you look at the CHIPS Act, you look at the manufacturing bill. Now, I understand my folks on the right, my beloved MAGA folks, don't think this stuff is worth a shit. But nevertheless, these are bipartisan accomplishments. He just stopped the railroad strike. I mean, he is doing things that is bipartisan, and he's getting cooperation from both sides. If you're MAGA, you don't think this stuff means shit. But it is accomplishment. So, yeah, I don't get that either.
Your last guy said he hasn't seen anything that Biden has done.
Yeah.
Nothing. Well, it's like, so how do you have a debate with that?
Well, you can show them, you can give them the light on things they're not focusing on. Like, for instance, I get MAGA to tell me all the time, how the hell could you guys vote liberal when the economy's so fucked up? And I tell them all the time, imagine Obama or Biden or Clinton or another liberal in office giving you the economy you love from Trump, but he's also taking away your guns. Would the economy be your only focus? Would you not focus on your Second Amendment rights? And then I tell him, well, think about abortion like that, or some of the other things that the right is promoting that is not economy related that could still have a huge effect on how people vote. And then a lot of them understand that.
True facts. True facts. Again, thank you very much for allowing me to be on here. I don't want to take up too much time, and I'll keep listening.
Hey, fair enough. Come on back through anytime. Don't be a stranger. Looking back in the comments, Biden has done so much to go to the store and gas station and tell me. I don't get that comment. But nevertheless, the primary thorn in President Biden's side is the economy. Just listen to his detractors. Listen to people who do not like Biden. The primary complaint is the economy. And as folks have said throughout history, it is the economy, stupid. So if the left was in the same position as the right is, we would hammer a Republican president on the economy as well. So I'm not blaming the right for doing what they're doing. However, we all understand, including Trump, that rolling back Roe versus Wade was a dagger to the torso of the Republican Party. And as long as that dagger remains in that torso, it is going to continue to energize liberals at the polls for who knows how many elections to come until they codify that. Going back to the box, it is Coach Vernon, a friend of the program. The thumbs are lazy. Tap your damn screens. Boy, up to 5,000 likes. This is a MAGA-friendly program. Liberals are welcome nevertheless. Coach Vernon, good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing good. Why is Biden so unpopular, even with liberals?
I think it's a combination of things. One, being his age. Two, we don't even I don't think as in American people we even recognize governing in between elections. We just go from one election to the next election. Like, okay, you know, we won in 2020. Like, can't he beat him again in 2024?
Oh, wait a minute. He's too old. But hang on a second. You're talking about because I said with liberals and you're giving me your answers, which are fine. But you're talking about the liberal party, the party that speaks out against racism, homophobia, you know, all of the different ailments. But you're also saying we are acting in a way that is ageism. We're voting against a man just because he's old. We're actually, you know, participating in ageism as liberals.
Well, yes. But I think that we allow the Republicans to dominate the airwaves with their things.
They say the same about us. They say the same thing about us.
I know. But the ones in the Senate and then the senators and the congressmen, they do the Republican senators and congressmen. They stick to the script. They're not all over the place. They pound, like, if it's dumb, they're going to be dumb to the nines. You know, they're not going to change. They're not going to change. So they could change the tenor of a conversation. You know, if you tell a lie so much, it becomes the truth in a way.
Give me some examples. Give me some examples.
The election was rigged.
Well, you don't have many senators. Give me some senators that are, because I bring that point up on the show all the time, that even folks who are suggesting the election was rigged, you don't hear that from too many Republican senators. What senators are saying?
Well, I can't say senators, but the representatives do it enough to where they basically made that, you know, like one caller said, 60% of the Republicans believe the election was stolen.
But they believe that shit. But they believe that election night, it wasn't the senators. I don't believe that the Republican Party is saying the election is stolen because of senators. They believe that literally on election night, simply because Trump said it. When you look at what took place on January 6th, January 6th, 2021 was only 2 months and 2 days after the election. So clearly investigations were happening and everything. There was no way for them to know enough to have acted like that on January 6th. And most senators were not saying it. They went with what Trump said.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, you know, certain things like we pay high gas prices because of the Keystone pipeline. That's not why we pay high gas.
I agree that folks have suggested that that's not true at all. And I've seen the evidence. Go ahead.
They say that, but that's not true. You know, OPEC just said they're going to cut, 2 million barrels a month. So that's probably why gas prices going up. You know, we're not going into strategic reserve like Trump did to just affect gas prices. You know, like
So
Biden said that he was.
what about the claims that Trump made a deal with OPEC to have them reduce producing oil, and that got us into this position? Have you heard someone say that?
Well, I never heard that, but I also know that his son-in-law is handling like $2 billion worth of Saudi money. So,
You
you
talking
know,
about Jared
whatever.
Kushner?
Yeah. So it could be, you know, I don't put anything past Trump and what he'll do, you know.
Mm.
And I don't say that in a bad way, but it's just his track record, you know. 17 counts of fraud yesterday. He got found guilty on.
Well, that was but in defense of Trump, that was his organization. That was not him, the man, which is why he's not necessarily facing any type of criminal punishment from that. He's able to say that was, the guy who headed my organization was doing that. Now, they pointed out he has some signatures on some of those damn checks, but right
They
now,
said that every check that comes from there, he initials. He may not be the signee, but his initials somewhere on the check.
yeah,
So
but is it
he's.
a stamp?
I
Is
mean,
it a stamp? Is it him signing?
no, it's basically another person's a signee, but it goes to his desk first, so he could initial to say it's okay for that person to sign off on it.
Then why aren't they
And the
pursuing
only
charges
reason
against him?
they chose not to pursue charges against Trump.
Why would they do that though? If he's a criminal,
I think,
why would you let him go?
but I don't think he's outside of the statute of limitations on that. I think
No,
they
well,
ran a trial
obviously
with.
not.
I think they're going to. You know, it's a possibility they can go back and still charge him.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't. If they
found this
didn't
other
do it
person.
now, I'd be surprised if they did. But we'll see. But I got to
Yeah.
move it on there, Coach.
All right. Take care. Appreciate
Absolutely.
you.
Good. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Looking in the comments, you said it's not too late. You know, some folks would argue, certainly when it comes to Merrick Garland performing a warrant on the president's home in Mar-a-Lago, 2+ months ago, and there's been no arrests. People are starting to get antsy and suggest it looks political. Yours truly, I have questions. Now, do I believe he probably took home some documents to brag and boast about that he shouldn't have had? Potentially. But there's no excuse for why you went in the man's home this length of time ago and he's not been arrested. If they went in your home, if they went in my home, there's no damn way if they could get a warrant, they would have went 2+ months without putting you in handcuffs by now. It does look political from that aspect. But we'll see what comes out of it. Going back to the box, J Piano Man 1855. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. I'm going to ask you guys to tap the screen a bit more. It looks like some lazy thumbs in here. It's a MAGA-friendly program. I don't ban, block, or censor anyone for their damn commentary. Come on in the box. I'll give you plenty of time to get your point across. Whether you agree with the host or not never means shit. Piano Man, talk to me.
How you doing, buddy? Nice seeing you.
It's good to see. Good to hear from you again. Go ahead.
I like your sweater.
Oh, hey, keeps me warm.
Yeah.
So why don't Democrats like Biden like you like my sweater? What is it about Biden that's so damn unpopular?
The reason they don't like Biden is because he's mellow and Trump was chaotic.
But the Democrats complained about Trump being chaotic. Now their own candidate is mellow and they're still bitching? That makes them look like they can't be satisfied.
Yeah. Well, you can't keep anybody satisfied. But I'd like to point out two things. One, you always get people in here say a comment about the Keystone Pipeline.
True.
You know, and we know that the Supreme Court shut down the Keystone XL pipeline, and the Keystone Pipeline itself is still going. I don't understand why they don't understand that.
Well, it could be the way the information has been presented. I mean, I've corrected people on a lot of things such as that because the way it depends on where you're getting your media from. Folks have agendas and they spin things.
And then the other thing the young guy was saying about having tests for people to be citizens or whatever.
Yes.
Have you seen any videos on YouTube and in Facebook where They go to colleges and ask them specific questions like, "What's the capital of the United States?"
Yes. I've seen him on
And
Leno. Jay Leno used to do it. Jon Stewart on the today, what is it? Whatever that show is, politically incorrect. Yeah,
right,
some of the Conan O'Brien. Yeah, I've seen those. People don't know shit.
no, they don't. So even college kids could not pass to become U.S. citizens. You know,
Yeah.
and that's what's funny. And the thing is Trump being in the limelight for the past 2 years every day. So all the accomplishments that Biden has done is always going to be overlooked and shadowed because of him, and that's what's going on.
Okay.
No matter,
But
so,
that. But
and
you
yeah,
think Trump? But
we
wait a
do have.
minute. You
Yeah.
believe Trump being in the limelight, doing what he does, has swayed liberal opinions about their own president?
No, I'm talking about the people that are more siding with Trump. So they don't care what Biden does, no matter how good it feels and what it does for them. They're always going to say that Biden's doing nothing, even though they're benefiting from the infrastructure bill, the chips bill, or whatever else bill. I mean, he's passed, from what I understand, over 233 bills.
Yeah. It's
So
interesting you say that because I was just about to ask you because in the comments people were saying name and accomplishment and you just went through at least a couple of them yourself there and because there are plenty of folks particularly on the right that do not believe Biden has done shit positive for this country while he's been in office.
yeah, exactly. And nobody's going to like every bill, and even the bills that get passed, the Democratic Party always wants more. Everybody always wants more. We know
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and so
And I've seen that when I started talking to you, and the first question I asked is why is Biden so unpopular? I had someone type in the comments because we don't think he's progressive enough. So you're right. There's always going to be people that are unhappy.
yeah, and he's such a mellow guy. I mean, I like him, but I still fall asleep if he says something because it's so boring. Even though he's doing good, but the thing is this: we're not going to throw him shade. We're not
Do
going to
you
throw him
think?
shade.
So I have to ask the question that you hear all the time. Do you believe he has the early signs of dementia?
No, he's a stutterer.
Yeah.
Okay, and the thing is, if you look at Trump's vocabulary and his inability to pronounce words and so on and so forth, you can't say that he is cognitively any better than what Biden is.
They
Okay,
would
so
they would argue with you on that.
oh, of course they would, but there's videos out. I mean, come on, the guy couldn't read Yosemite. He couldn't read Yosemite. Come on, be serious. But anyway, hey, thanks for letting me up, bro.
Always a good talk.
I love watching you. I watch you more than anybody else.
Oh shit, it's an honor, man. Come on back through anytime.
All right, bro.
Appreciate that.
Bye.
Thank you. All right,
Bye.
looking in the a speech impediment doesn't cause you to forget what you're talking about mid-conversation. That is true. But I'm 50. I don't have dementia. Hopefully not. And I forget shit all the time. Might even forget the chick's name. Listen, it happens, folks. That comes with age. Now, when you shake somebody's hand and you don't realize you shook their hand and you try to shake it again, or you get ready to walk off stage and don't realize what side. I mean, he does some things that are questionable, but we've all had aging relatives that did not have dementia that did some of those things. How many of you got a grandparent that tells you the same damn story over and over again, and you want to tell them, you've told me that shit already, but you understand it delights them to tell you this, so you let them keep telling you anyway? Does that mean they have dementia? Some of this might just be because the dude is old. Looking in the comments, Donald Trump needs God. Well, you do understand there's a video out there of Donald Trump stating he has 90 plus years asked God for forgiveness. So you might suggest that Donald Trump needs God. A little fluctuation here for some reason. I don't know. We'll apologize for that, but tap the screen, maybe to get TikTok to wake up. Get your boy up to 10,000 likes like I asked. A lot of damn folks in here.
What?
Political. Good
What's
afternoon.
going on? It's Judge Political. What's going on?
Okay, political. Let's get political. Why the hell don't Biden have higher numbers among his own party?
Well, it's just because of his age. It's because of his age, and it's because they don't know what he's done. That it is. It is ageism. You are 100% right.
Mm.
And you hear it when they talk about Dianne Feinstein. I mean, a lot of Democrats, definitely liberals from California, say it's time to hang it up. You know, you're coming to an end. So it is. It is ageism. But they
But
also
we're the party that wants to be all inclusive, diverse, and give everybody a chance. But now we're kicking out old men. No country for old men.
not because there's a want for new leadership within the Democratic Party. There's a want, there's a yearning for young new. I mean, I don't know if you watched the victory speech of Warnock last night.
Yes, I
I
did see it.
that type of speech, that type of language is what I think they feel like is the new Democratic Party, you know. But Biden getting up there, like you said, talking about back in the good old days and when he was the senator, you know, people were like, look, I wasn't even thought of. You know, you've been in politics for 50 something years. You know, it's
So,
hang
but
it up.
let me ask it to you this way: in terms of policy, in terms of his performance while in office, let's say Gavin Newsom had been in office for 2 years now and did exactly the same thing, same policies as Biden. Do you believe with Gavin Newsom's younger age, we would be telling him he needs to leave, or we would want him to run again just because he's younger? If he did the exact same thing as Biden, will we
I
have the same belief?
I think in the polls, you know, because Biden's around what 40%. I think Newsom would be at 45, 46. Yeah, I think he would be doing five
Wow.
better, and I think people would have wanted him to campaign with him. I think the reason that a lot of them didn't want Biden to campaign with them is because they didn't want to make this an election about Joe Biden. They wanted to make an election about themselves. So Warnock, for example, he doesn't want Joe Biden to come in there because then it becomes not just Warnock, but Warnock and Biden. Warnock wanted.
But if Biden is doing a good job, it looks good to have the guy on stage next to you promoting you because you believe this guy has done a good job running the country, and this guy is saying he has confidence that this new senator would also implement the policies that you favor from me. So if Warnock does not want Biden next to him, so it seems like that would be suggesting that Warnock does not think Biden has done a good job.
No, no, it doesn't at all because we know that Warnock has voted with Biden every single time. So it's not he wouldn't be voting with a guy he doesn't think is doing a good job. The problem is you don't want to bring every election really is a local election. And when you
True.
bring in the president of the United States, you're nationalizing it not only with just you, then it becomes this Biden versus Trump, which that's what it really kind of was. But if you bring them on stage with you, it really makes it that. So no,
So
you bring
So
Barack.
why didn't the Republicans, if you're talking about you don't want to make it all about Biden in regards to Herschel, in regards to Warnock, then why did the Republicans have no problem bringing Trump on stage?
Because they feel like they had the momentum. And I thought that they did. I thought Republicans had momentum and Trump is the momenter. You know, he's the one that gets the rallies and gets the crowd and
Right.
gets them hyped up. And that's what they thought. How did that work out in Pennsylvania? How did that work out in Arizona? They barely won in Wisconsin. We're talking about 1 point in Wisconsin. North Carolina was by like 2 points. I mean, so in individual swing states, oh, in Nevada, we saw that didn't work. So it didn't work that well. But look at Biden. I think I've seen something that says he's the first president to actually gain a seat during.
Yeah, in his first midterms. Yeah, in his first. Yeah, he certainly outperformed expectations for any new president in his
I
first
think
midterm.
what
Which,
Biden needs to do, he needs to do a hard look, and he has to let us know if he's going to run for reelection or not, because we have to know whether or not he's running. I don't know if he should run. I think if Trump gets the nomination, I want him to run. But you can't wait until the nomination is over before you say that, right? So
right.
he needs to
You
do that.
want Biden to announce now?
Not now, by August. At least by August, that's coming up.
Okay, I think you may get that. That actually probably will happen. That's pretty. Now you're talking August of 2023. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's getting into it. So I think you will. By then you'll have other Republicans on the ticket and things like that.
I'm
If
afraid
DeSantis
it
is getting
waits.
into it,
I'm just
go
afraid
ahead.
it takes too long, and then we have to prop somebody up that really hasn't been put out there because you need name recognition. You know all the things that it takes to become president.
Fair enough. And some would argue because of Biden's age, we're propping him up. I got to move it on though.
Talk to you.
See you in the next one. All right, looking in comments, MAGA, thumbs up. I see the sign there. Trump will be in prison in August. That ain't gonna happen. Even if Trump is found guilty, just the way our judicial system is set up, there's plenty of delays, appeals, and all of that. There's no possible way that Trump could end up in prison unless you get a hell of a lot of judges that just simply hate his guts. But there's no way you could move our judicial system along fast enough to get a guy locked up that quick. Look at his taxes. He just was forced to release his taxes earlier this year, even though they've been pursuing that stuff for 6 years. It takes time. And this also is not necessarily just in defense of Trump. This is also to my folks who believe that Biden, with the laptop and all of this Burisma shit, is going to end up in jail. I will submit to you that Trump has laid down the blueprint of how to delay shit. He's shown, don't respond to subpoenas, call it a witch hunt. You think that Biden, if they had the goods on Biden, you think he hasn't learned something from Trump? Wouldn't you do the same shit now that Trump has proved it can be done to delay the system? So understand that even if Biden is guilty, expect him to use the same tactics of Trump. I'm not saying that Biden is guilty. I'm just simply saying that Trump has laid down the blueprint of what to do to delay the system. So if you're having dreams and fantasies and you're knocking one out to Biden in an orange jumpsuit, hold that nut. Going back to the box. DJ Magic Stick, friend of the program, welcome back. It's going to be a minute with this damn. I don't know what the hell's going on with TikTok. But DJ, good afternoon.
Hey, how's it going, buddy? How's it
going?
going?
Good. It's better than Biden is what I'd say. Why is this man so unpopular, even with liberals?
The polling's way off. It's way off. They're going to areas where like Trump is popular, and they're polling like that, and then they'll go to a Democrat. They're polling in that area. They're not getting their polling right. It's not accurate. You can't. It's not. See, back in the day, it was accurate because the country was more purple. Back in the 90s, more purple, you can get a more accurate polling. But now, since the country's so divided, there's pockets of Trump, there's pockets of Republicans, and pockets of Democrats. You can't poll pockets. It's hard to poll pockets.
In regards to your comment that the polling is off, Shadow Walker says we love Biden. So do you believe it's a case of the liberals are actually fond of Biden and the polls are just wrong?
Yeah, I believe so. And they're not. And a lot of times when they poll, when they knock on doors, it's not a young person answering that door. It's an older person. So they're not even getting polling. They're not even polling the right demographic either that's up there voting now, like Gen Z and millennials. They're not doing accurate polling on that. The polling.
It's interesting. It's interesting. You and a few other callers brought up the poll. So I want to ask folks in the audience as well as yourself by a simple type of yes or no. We've just had a huge midterm. How many of you been polled? Type yes or no, whether it's on the internet, whether somebody knocked on your door, what the caller is saying, did somebody call you on the phone?
I haven't been polled at all. So, yeah. Oh, breathe.
I don't know if I ended up overheating. So any of you guys who are still in here, let me see. Does it even show that? But that's what happened. I appreciate the fact that you guys were holding on. I had to reposition the vehicle. I was in the sun, and the sun coming through the window, hitting the back of the device, ultimately overheated the phone. So I do appreciate that there's still a few hundred of you guys rolling with your boy. Obviously killed the box and things like that. But that is what we were asking. We were, tossing around, kicking around, is whether or why President Biden is so unpopular, even with liberals. Do you believe that the constant promotion of Trump from MAGA, which are a pretty loud group of people, they get their point across, they're very passionate about their politics. Do you believe that that has anything to do with why Biden is so unpopular? Remember, Biden was elected to instill unity in the population. But yet, after a couple years in office, we have not become a more unified country. Is that because Biden is failing at bringing us together? Or is that because of a MAGA underling that is still pushing division? Because some would argue that Trump was a unifier. I have had folks come on the show and suggest that Trump was trying to bring us together, and it was the liberals in the media continuing to pull us apart. So, looking in the comments, I don't think you understand why Biden was elected, says Joe. In regards to me, yours truly, not understanding why Biden was elected, come on in the box. Elaborate. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't think I am. But if you show me the light, I will admit that it's shining in my face. So let me know your opinion. You could even put it in the comments. Why the hell am I not seeing why Biden was elected? What do you believe Biden was elected for? What do you think was the purpose? Or do you believe he was even legitimately elected at all? Going back to the box. Harris, welcome back to the program. Harris, we're asking the question, if TikTok will bring you on, why is Biden so unpopular even with liberals?
Harris. That's a good question.
Go ahead.
That's a good question. Why is he unpopular even with liberals? I think because the younger generation has had this whole idea of we have to stop voting for old white men, because I hear that constantly on TikTok. And so I think I think there's a generation gap there. I think some of the older liberals probably really do like Biden, or they really did like Biden until he actually became president. And then they're like, wait, that's not what we wanted. Like, that's not what I thought this was going to be. It's a lot of buyer's remorse, I think, right now.
But for what reason? What has Biden done that would because Biden has some accomplishments that are liberal oriented. He's dealing with climate change and things the climate change bill. Now, I understand if you're on the right, you don't give a shit about that. But the left is big fans of folks addressing climate change. He has done that. Why is that not something that they favor more?
Because in the grand scheme of things, when you look at it, the United States isn't even in the top 10 of polluters. So what is the United States doing that is contributing to the climate change?
Well, let's go with your point.
We just had the largest hole in the ozone layer has actually closed.
Okay, so let's go with your point. Wait a minute. Let's go with your point. The United States is not even the biggest contributor of climate change. So are you suggesting that the United States should do nothing because they're not even contributing to the problem to any significance?
No, I'm not saying we shouldn't do anything.
What should we do? What should we do?
Well, hang on. Let me elaborate. Because getting rid of CFCs was actually the main contributor of that hole in the ozone layer actually closing, correct? Because CFCs were found to have caused the hole in the first place, or was one of the main contributors of causing that hole. So yes, there are things that we can. So there are things that we can do to kind of slow processes down. But in the grand scheme of things, the Earth is going to do what the Earth is going to do. Because, tell me how the dinosaurs contributed to climate change, because the Earth was 10 degrees hotter when the dinosaurs were around than it was when.
Wait a minute. So if we go with your
dinosaurs caused the Earth to be hotter.
if we go with your statement that the Earth is going to do what the Earth is going to do, then you're essentially saying climate change is cyclical and the humans have nothing to do with it because you're bringing up dinosaurs.
Yes, yes, it absolutely is cyclical. It is proven in the ice cores.
So why are
150,000 years ago,
scientists?
150,000 years ago, in the ice cores, the Earth was 5 degrees hotter than it is now.
So why are scientists suggesting that it is based on what we're doing right now? If what you're saying, basically what you're saying is no matter what happens, this was going to happen anyway. So why are scientists saying otherwise?
Okay, because the only scientists that are being published, Handsome, are the ones that are saying that. There are plenty of other scientists that are not getting published, that have to go put their stuff on websites that don't get as much attention, that are still peer-reviewed, because a lot of liberals care about that are peer-reviewed articles where you can actually go read it, and they actually will say, no, in the grand scheme of things, the greenhouse gases that we put out into the atmosphere, into the ozone layer, it really doesn't change anything that much. The Earth has its own environment, and the Earth is doing its own thing. Like, there was a time in history where the Earth had less than we have now.
You're breaking
up. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, if you want to talk about okay.
Okay, so basically, if what you're saying is true, where everything's cyclical and this is going to happen no matter what we do, then if I'm believing you, Harris, we don't need to change our lifestyle at all because this is going to happen no matter what.
No, we don't. Right, because look at Plymouth Rock. If you look at Plymouth Rock, and they have and scientists have come out and said that our sea levels are at the highest levels ever. Okay, then why isn't Plymouth Rock completely underwater? Why is the water level at Plymouth Rock at the exact same level since they landed there and stamped it?
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm always.
That's an honest question. I'm asking
I don't know the answer to that. What I was going to respond and tell you is I'm willing to plead ignorance. I'm no climate scientist. But when you start suggesting that some of them are being paid and some are, I don't know where to go with that because I can't prove people are being paid. I can't prove that some are true and some are not. I'm just simply saying if I'm president, if I'm in charge, and the scientists that are hired around me are telling me we need to do something, I'm going to take that advice. I'm not just going to throw out what you're saying, which is you can keep doing anything you want. This is going to happen no matter what.
Okay, so I have an associate's of science degree in fire science. If I tell you that lighting yourself on fire is good for your health, are you going to listen to me because I'm an expert in fire science?
If your entire class said the same thing, I'd be willing to sit down and listen to you. But you're talking about an associate's degree. You're not talking about 40, 50 years in the field.
Okay, but just because you have 40, 50 years in the field doesn't mean that you're necessarily an expert. Look at Joe Biden. He's had 40 or 50 years in Congress, and he's not even a good president.
In your opinion.
It doesn't mean anything.
Well, it doesn't matter who's president. There's always going to be somebody who said they don't need that the person is not a good president. Ronald Reagan won 49 states, and there was a hell of a lot of people said he wasn't a good president. Even though you look at the numbers.
Then why didn't they vote against him?
Exactly. Every president in a country with 300 million people plus is going to have people voting against it. You're never going to get 100% of the vote.
Right, but I'm saying 48 states or 49 states, whatever it was.
49 states.
You're telling me that you're telling me that not even 2 or 3 other states didn't like Reagan because they knew that Reagan was going to be a bad president?
I'm just simply telling you.
Obviously, Reagan was doing something right.
Well, he was certainly winning votes, but I'm just simply telling you, it doesn't matter how right you are. People would vote against Jesus. Right. I'm just simply telling you, you'll never get all the votes, no matter how well you're doing.
I'm not saying that anybody would. However, I would like to congratulate the Democrats on having an actual party switch, because now we can actually call the Democrats the religious cultists because they voted in a reverend of the church last night, even though he ran over his wife with his car.
Well, was Herschel Walker the moral candidate they should have picked?
It doesn't matter. It does not matter because they voted for him and he is a reverend of the church. So now Democrats are the religious cultists. Congratulations, you have flipped. You have switched parties.
Well, if they flipped, then who was the religious cultist before they flipped?
Well, I don't know. I've been asking that question for a very long time because how many people, even on your live, Handsome, how many people have called the right? Oh, they're nothing but Christian nationalists. They're religious cultists. They're blah blah blah. Right? Okay. Well, now you guys blindly voted for a man who's a reverend, who is a religious nutcase, and he ran over his wife.
Well, you can vote for the guy that ran over his wife, or you can vote for the one that beat his wife. Which one are you going to pick?
Well, I mean,
take your time.
Lesser of two evils. I mean, let's not vote for the religious nutcase because you guys say that you hate religious nutcases, right? You guys say that religion shouldn't be in politics, yet you just voted to send a religious man into politics. It's asinine, and you guys are fucking hypocrites.
So let me ask you a question. Give me your honest opinion. Do you believe Herschel Walker was a decent candidate for Senate?
Yes, I think he was. Why? Because he had a better outline of policies than Warnock. Warnock, he didn't even talk about proposed bill. Like to me, he did not have an outline as to what he would attempt to accomplish in Washington. To me, all I heard was vote for me to stop that guy from going.
Yeah, but you know what's
interesting?
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting you would say Warnock did not have a policy for what he was going to do in Washington. He's not coming in as inexperienced. He's already been in the Senate for 2 years now, so he has a record to run on. I mean, they voted in a man.
He hasn't done anything. He hasn't introduced any. He hasn't introduced any legislation. He isn't even on any committees. He's done nothing in 2 years in Washington. What record does that man have other than a criminal record for running over his own wife because they got in an argument?
I have not seen any evidence of that, but I want to ask you before I move on.
By the way, for the asinine people in the comments that say, "Oh, well, Herschel Walker paid for an abortion." Actually, he didn't pay for an abortion. The abortion was already done. He actually sent the money to the woman after the procedure was already done. He didn't even know she had the procedure done until a very long time afterwards. Get your fucking facts straight.
So you believe the women are just lying on him and making this stuff up?
No, she even admitted that's the way it happened.
Which one?
Did you not know that?
There's more than one.
He didn't know. Okay, they have all literally come out and said that they got the procedure done before even telling him that it was done. Or that they were even pregnant.
So all of these women,
he got them pregnant.
Harris, you get pregnant by a football star that's due to easily make a bunch of money, and you decide to have an abortion even though he's not asking. What woman does? Football star that's due to easily make a bunch of money, and you decide to have an abortion even though he's not asking. What woman does that? You're about to have a baby even though the football not asking. What woman does that? You're about to have a baby, even though the football star that has gotten you pregnant has not even asked you to do it. Does that make sense to you? Okay, I don't know what happened. He dropped out, but think about that. He is suggesting that the women that got pregnant by Herschel Walker, this guy is a Heisman Trophy winner, destined to make it to the NFL. Generally, when these high school and college athletes are above and beyond the fray, even their parents know that this is a potential meal ticket in the future. You can tell when the scouts, the schools are calling, this person is likely to get a NFL contract. Folks start doing all kinds of shit. You get pregnant by this guy. In this case, multiple women, and he's suggesting that they had an abortion on their own before they were even asked. Does that even sound right? Knowing that if they have a child, they could be entitled to tens of thousands of dollars a year in child support. But yet, even though he didn't ask them to have an abortion, they all done it on their own. and then they needed him to pay the $300, $400, $500 to cover the abortion costs. Women that were that destitute for cash, they needed him to pay for the abortion. Would have an abortion knowing that they're about to have a golden child? Does that make sense? Going back to the box. It is Doc Sparkle Pony. I love the interesting names. Doc Sparkle Pony. Good afternoon.
What's going on, sir? I've actually been in your live before. I had a little bit of a different name before, but handsome liberal. Let me tell you something. I would rather have had Bugs Bunny fucking run for goddamn Senate than that motherfucking tuna can that just lost. So, and I'm a Republican, so that was.
What as a Republican, what did you find unelectable about Herschel Walker?
The fact that he's a tuna can that had ground beef inside of it. I mean, like the dude is just like he literally is outside space, man. He's not. Again, he's not an educated human being to the point of being a senator. I'm not saying he's not a smart individual in certain ways. He can run the football left and right. I mean, he can do some things, but he ain't a senator, man. And what we've done too often in politics these days is find a way to have and evaluate, who
Why
we're
was he there again?
who we're going to put in front of a camera because of how popular they are. And that's really just kind of it.
Yeah, but if what you're saying is true, a tuna can with beef on the inside, how did he get so far? Why was he there to begin with?
Because of popularity. It's a popularity contest these days. What we've done so far with politics in the last, I'd say, 10 years is change it from, lawmaking to, who can we put in front of a camera that looks pretty cool? And how can we do it with demographics? How can we do it with... And I mean that in the sincerest way, like demographics, like what those kinds of things that I guess play well with numbers, if you will.
But let's go with your statement. We're looking to put a popularity contest. We're looking to put people in front of the camera that looks cool. Did he even look cool in front of the camera?
No, I think he was the dumbest candidate that the Republicans have ever put forward, and I honestly just kind of wanted to throw up when I saw that he was a candidate.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think he was a great candidate, but I do think that there was a reason why, I guess you could say, they put him there. I didn't like it, but there was a reason why. And again, I think a lot of it had to do with skin tone. I think a lot of it had to do with demographics. I think a lot of it had to do with, people thinking that, his popularity and his, I guess you could say, bravado and shine, like on the camera, would like win over.
You said skin tone. You believe the Republicans deliberately chose a black man?
Oh, I 100% do. And I think the liberals do it too, so please don't try and play Clayton.
Well, the liberals, the liberals for sure. You see diversity in the liberals. Yeah, I mean, even Biden made it clear he was going to nominate a black Supreme Court justice. He was going to put a black woman in his VP. So we know the liberals do it, but that is a bit different for the Republican Party.
I would agree with that. I think demographics. I think they got a little bit scared by the fact that Georgia went blue. During the election, and I think it kind of scared the shit out of them. And so I do think that there was a little bit of demographics and that kind of stuff that went into their choices and who they were gonna put their support behind. I think.
But was it the Republican Party that picked this guy, or was it Trump?
Okay, well now we're gonna have a fun conversation because
let's see what's inside
now we have to decide whether or not the Republican Party is even the Republican Party anymore. I would say this. I think Trump kind of chose him. Again, I think Trump was a popularity contest when he came about, and I think Trump did kind of choose him. But I think the Republicans kind of just have to throw their support behind a lot of what's happening with Trump right now. Anyway, I mean, he kind of did become, I guess, the new Republican Party, if you will. I hate putting that in quotes, but the new Republican Party. Okay,
what about yourself? What about yourself? Did you support Trump in 2016 and 2020?
I was actually in the Army, and I don't vote for my own boss. So this will be the first presidential election in 2024 that I actually vote for. So
okay, so you haven't voted in the national elections.
I have not, no. And just to be honest with you, I would have voted for Trump over Biden. I don't know that I would have done it over Hillary, but now that I know who Hillary is, I don't know. Hindsight's 2020, I guess. But like, at the time when he decided to run, I thought it was kind of a joke. So again, hindsight 2020. You know what I'm saying? But I
So in
have always
16,
been a conservative, if you will.
but in 16, you thought Hillary Clinton was a viable candidate and you've been a conservative? They really despised her in 16.
Oh, I know. But I thought he was a joke at the time. Again, hindsight 2020. Like that's what I'm trying to say is that like it would have been real difficult in 16 had I tried to vote. But I'm glad I didn't
Right.
because honestly, I would have rather run my head through a brick wall. So
So let me ask you this before we move it on. Why do you think Biden is so unpopular with the left?
okay, so this is where I wanted to get to. I think I talked about this the other day in a live. I think what we have right now is a problem with language and a disconnect between, a generation of people that are in politics and a generation of people that are interested in politics again. What we used to have was just old people that used to be interested in politics. And like it used to just be old people, man. And young people really didn't give a shit. Well,
Right.
right now, what we have is it's kind of coming together where young people are starting to get interested in politics again, and now we have a disconnect, right? And I think what we need to do as a society is change a couple of things as far as like how like old you can be serving on certain benches, if you will, a
Right.
judicial branch. If you can be serving as president, if you could, because I do think that the way that we talk to each other, the way that we communicate, the way that we actually can, come to reason together, is different when it's that far apart. It is
Yeah,
so
but if
far
you
apart
if
that
you if you
he's so unpopular with the liberals because man, that dude looks like he fucking is going to memory care tomorrow, bro.
but
Like
wait
I
a
mean, I'm
minute
just
though.
it is. It's just the way it
But think
is.
about it this way. Think about it this way. You know how many elderly people are in nursing homes that barely get visits. You know when grandma or grandpa gets old, we send them away to a home. We shuffle old people away all the time. So if we start saying that they are now too old to be in office, is it now possible that the old people will no longer be considered when we're dealing with political issues like you're saying Gen Z was?
Well, I mean, who do you want to run? Who do you want to be a leader? Do you want someone that needs a walker and a cane, or do you want someone that can lead from the front? And so
Well,
again, like
okay,
again, I think. Listen, man, I'm sorry to say it this way, but old people they are not necessarily the people that I want in politics anymore.
that's
Again, it's just
ageism,
because
though.
of language. It's because of how we talk to each other, and they
That's
are
ageism.
removed from a lot of that society.
But that's let me give you the example I often give. You remember Captain Scully who landed a plane in the Hudson a few years back? Had
Yep.
a Tom Hanks did a movie about him. Anyway, right after Captain Sully landed that plane in the Hudson, within a year or so, he was deemed to be too old to fly because of the ageism rules that are in the commercial airlines. He could no longer fly because he had reached the age of maturity. And I want to submit to you that even though the airlines kicked him out for being too old, I would rather have Captain Sully as a pilot on an aircraft I'm on than any 30 or 40-year-old. So my point is, with age, sometimes comes a hell of a lot of maturity and experience.
Yeah, but it's a lot easier to say that you want a pilot that has 200 people on a plane, not 300 million. And so, like, if you want the
But you get
pilot
my
to,
point, though.
I
You get
understand
my
what you're
point.
saying. I understand that wisdom comes with experience. I get it. Wisdom is opening your ears and shutting your mouth sometimes, listening to people who know what the fuck they're talking about. So I
Yeah.
understand that, but there is also a cutoff point. Like, actually, believe it or not, I'm running for congressman in 2 years, and one of the things that I want to do is I want every 5 years after you're 60 years old to take another test to make sure you can have a driver's license. Because
You're
I'm
running
telling
for
you right now,
Congress.
I
You're
do
running for
not want
Congress
some of these
talking
old
like
people on.
this. You're running for Congress saying all of this ageist. You better not let this video ever get out. Now, let me just be. I'll let you continue, but understand I do put all of my live streams on YouTube, so
Oh, I don't
this
care.
will be
I'm actually
available.
I'm actually going to start a radio show. It's called Neverland Radio. I actually make fun of this app and call it Neverland. So,
Okay.
and so I it doesn't matter. You can record it. You can put it wherever you want. In fact, I hope you and I talk later because I do enjoy your
Porn
lives.
star.
I think that you host really good lives, even though that you and I probably don't agree on a whole lot of policy. I think we could actually agree on getting in the middle. One thing that I think that is a lost fact of society is that politics is not a straight line, guys. The left is not all the way on the left, and the right is not all the way on the right. What happens is it becomes a horseshoe. Politics becomes a horseshoe because when you get too far right and you get too far left, you actually become kind of the same people. You just become really bad people. Um, and so most people live within the middle, all right, the middle of that
Yeah.
horseshoe, right? And so I do think that you've hosted some really good lives. Now, the reason why I think Biden is just so unpopular, I mean, besides the jokes that we could play about him, I mean, and whatever you can say, whatever jokes you want, he's literally cannot communicate to people in a way that is effective.
Then how is he? Wait a minute. If he can't communicate, how is he getting so much bipartisan shit done? And I will tell you this as well, because you hear folks talking about him having dementia. I've said this before. And by the way, folks, tap the screen, get your boy up to 20,000 likes. I've said this before, that everyone that is suggesting that Biden has dementia or does not know where the hell he's at or cannot put together two sentences has no access to Biden. When you hear the Republican senators, the Republican Congress, people that actually have access to President Biden, none of them are saying he has dementia. Everybody that's saying it are diagnosing him through the TV screen. But
And
people sitting with him are not saying that.
I hope you didn't. I hope you didn't misconstrue what I was trying to say. That's not what
Okay.
I meant. What I meant is that just simply the language that he speaks. He's so old that like sometimes these young people, especially with the news and the media and the age that we're at right now, these people are far too young for him to
Okay.
connect with.
I get
And
your
like the
point.
way
Yeah,
that he's
you're talking about the
talking to them,
malarkey and yeah, you're
it
talking about
it
the
it,
malarkey and
it just
stuff.
it doesn't connect with those people.
Yeah,
And I
I
think
get that.
especially on the liberal side, I think what the problem is that like and I hate to say it this way, but like there's been a lot of backlash on old white men, if you will. All right, and he happens to be one. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of either you die by the sword or you live by it, right? And I think they're kind of having a problem with that too, if you will. All right, and I'm not gonna get in here and talk racist stuff and whatnot. Like it, honestly, I served in the military with 38 black men, and I'm 25% black myself. So like
Fair enough.
that
All
is
right.
not that's not something I wanted to placate to. But I do think that when you put an agenda like that forward, and then you have like one of the oldest white men in the world that like is walking around like basically on a cane, like you kind of either have
I
to pick
get
your
your
poison
point.
or you
I
have
get
to
your
like
point.
swallow it. You know what I'm saying?
I get your point. All right, I got to move it on. I get your point. Good luck on your campaign. Come on through anytime if you want to discuss it.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Absolutely. Now, before I go back to the box, I just wanted to respond to one of the things he said. And by the way, Fancy Prancy, Corn Star, and my name is Kit, and I appreciate all that generosity. I was letting the individual get his point across, but your generosity did not fall on deaf eyes. In regards to what the last caller suggested, that Biden's language is outdated and it does not resonate, particularly with Gen Z. That is probably true. Biden gets up there and says malarkey and some of this stuff, these old archaic terms. However, remember when Obama, someone who does resonate with the young folks, was hanging around folks like Jay-Z? I think he invited Ludacris or Common to the White House, and the older crowd was saying the exact same thing in reverse. Why are you inviting and hanging around these rappers, pointing out that Jay-Z had a criminal record back in the day and things like that? So the problem you're faced with is either you do or you don't. 6.5 dozen of the other. The glass is half full or it's half empty. If you start associating with the young folks, now all of the bitching comes from the folks at the top. Hanging around these rappers, hanging around these young athletes, bringing up little, things that the young crowd is doing. You're hanging around guys that can't keep their pants around their ass or something like that. That's what the older crowd is going to do. So I guess to some degree, it's a case of pick your poison. Now, at the end of the day, right now in 2022, despite the performance of Gen Z in the midterms, you're still better off as a politician, at least coming from your humble correspondent's opinion. I believe as a politician, you're still better off catering to the older generation. The reason I say that is because they still show up to the polls in higher numbers than younger folks do. That is improving. Thank God it is. But right now, the older generation is more reliable come election time than the younger generation. That is why you still get old people. Going back to the box, it is Preacher. SL, a friend of the program. Welcome back, Preacher. Afternoon, and there we go. Good afternoon, Preacher. Nice to see you again.
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Not too bad. Why is Biden so unfavorable even among liberals?
Well, one of the reasons I think now Biden made a lot of promises during his campaign, right? That he couldn't. Right. So when it comes to the liberals, when you make that promise, especially to certain people, they want you to fulfill it no matter what, or they want you to look like that you went hard to basically obtain what it is that you said you was going to. Like the $15.
Give me some examples of promises Biden made that he has really not done shit to fulfill.
$15 minimum wage. Now we know there was two individuals in his way when it came to that. We know who those two individuals are. So
but the minimum wage is a state issue. He can't do that.
No, but he could have done it federally. That was his thing. Yeah. He wanted to put it out federally, and then you let it work, because once it's federally, the state is basically going to have to figure out whether or not that's going to be their limit or take it up a bit, because now it becomes a little competition. But I don't know
if I quite. Here's what I was going to say. I don't know if I agree with that, because under Obama's watch, he did increase the minimum wage to $10.10 an hour federally, and the states did not follow suit.
Wait, I think he increased it in 2009. Now I can't look right now, but he increased it in 2009, if I'm not mistaken, to 7 something.
No,
if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to look that up. But I know he did increase it. You're right, but it was in 2009. Okay.
He increased the minimum wage to $10.10 under his watch. And here we are in 2022, and most states in America still have a minimum wage that's well under $10.
Right, because, they have it listed like that. They do, because I employ people and I know what I have to put up in the office. And I know. So you're absolutely right about that. But here is the thing in which I like about Trump, what Trump would have done if Joe Manchin was in his way. Trump would have daily barked and talked and tweeted that guy is in my way. I'm trying to do something for you. That guy is in my way. That's the thing that Trump has, that he connects with people. Now,
but do we want a president that's constantly attacking members of our own party? That's what we complained about in regards to Trump, is that he was calling people Pocahontas. Now he's saying Ron DeSanctimonious. We complained that we didn't want that.
Right. No. You don't listen. You don't want him attacking people for no reason. But on that policy, where it comes to $15 minimum wage, Joe Manchin held that up. He held that up. Okay. Now, if you go to the student loan thing, originally he said what, 50,000. That quickly went down. He ran on that. Oh, I'm gonna get rid of student loan. I'm gonna do all of that, and then it came down to maximum was 20,000, depending on what type of student loan you got, and then it went down to 10. But now, it's being held up because of a couple of Republicans, put out the lawsuit.
I asked you to give me an example of something Biden promised that he hadn't tried hard to do. The stuff you're talking about, even though he may have not succeeded, we know that if Biden could relieve all student loan, that he would. The only reason he's not doing that is because he doesn't have the support. I strongly believe if Biden could eliminate all student loan, that he would do that.
Here is the thing. Notice I said, even if he can't do it, he has to project the image as if he's trying. It's like, if you got a worker, and I do mean loudly, He has to
And you don't think
loudly
he's done
project.
that?
No,
You don't think he's projected that he's trying? I mean, they're
not
taking
loud,
him to
not
court.
loud enough. Not. Yeah, they're taking him to court, but not loud enough. It
But shit,
doesn't.
how much
It seems as if he's lackadaisical. Like he's like saying, "Well, guys, I tried, but this guy,
if what you're doing is drawing so much attention that the other side is trying to take you to court to stop it, how much louder you want him to do it?
I want him to do it as loud as Trump would do it for his side.
You want him to be
That's what I want.
boisterous you want him to be boisterous and bully like,
Now, but
calling out
that's not him.
names.
But see, that's not him. That's not in
Not
his.
only
That's
is
not
that
in his character.
no, not only is
That's
that
not
not
Joe. That's
him,
not his
that's
character.
right, and that's what we elected him because that's not him. We didn't want a guy like that.
Listen, he doesn't have to take it to that extreme. I'm not telling him, see, there's an extreme and then there's a level underneath. I don't want it to the Trump extreme, but there has to be a level above what he's doing or how he's doing it. There has to be it got to be a little loud. I don't want you to turn the bass up so loud that I can't understand the music, but I want it turned up enough that I can enjoy it. Because too
I would
low, I can't
suggest
enjoy it.
you want like a Ilhan Omar or a Maxine Waters.
AOC, right.
Yeah.
I want something like that where you are respectful in it, but not, but you're not low in it, but you're respectful enough that I hear you. I constantly can hear you.
Yeah, but those people in the current 2020 environment in America are unelectable. I don't think any of them would have had a chance of winning in
No,
2020.
absolutely not. Absolutely, they are not. They cannot win. You exactly right. They can win in their sector, but on the national stage, no, they can't win. Joe Biden was the perfect candidate for being able to beat Trump. He was the perfect candidate. It doesn't mean that we like him. It doesn't mean that we like him, but to beat Trump, he was perfect for that.
Right. But it sounds like the candidate you're saying Biden should have been, you're admitting it would be a losing candidate.
Yeah, but no. Now, the campaign is one thing, but once you become president, it's something different. You see, on the left, they do have some standards. Let's put it like this. One side has no standards. You can be as openly brash, you can be as crazy as you want to be, and you will be elected. As long as you are talking to them and telling them what they want to hear, they will elect you. It's like you in line. We don't care how crazy you are. We will vote for you.
That's something. That's new though. That came under Trump. That's new.
Yeah, well, it's new and they're rolling with it. On the other side is they don't want you to be that crazy. They will call you out for it. So you will be called out for certain things. Like right now, I can criticize Biden. I can criticize AOC. She tweeted about something and then voted against the same thing she just tweeted. Now, I'm a progressive like her, and I hated that she did that. And I made a video on that. I said, how did you tweet against something and then vote against something? The other side would never have done that. You had a caller, two callers. You had a caller, two callers ago.
Yeah, but what about wait a minute? What about now in 2022? With the Republican Party, there are a lot of folks criticizing Trump. Do you think the Republican Party is still like that, where you can say crazy shit and they'll still support you?
Yeah, you can say crazy. The problem is, I think it's the independents who are swinging which way things are going. That's who I think it. Trump has his base. They ain't going nowhere. Okay, he's going to be, unless you got somebody else that can represent the Republican Party in 2024. It's going to be him. It's either him or Ron DeSantis. Those are the two that's out there. Yeah. I would rather Trump. To tell you the truth, I would rather Trump because I think DeSantis is much smarter than Trump, and the things that individuals may fear that Trump would do. The thing is, Trump shows his hand. If he has a good hand, he goes, "Here's my hand. I got you."
Okay, I got to move it on, but
yeah.
okay, I got to move it on. But before I let you go, so what you're saying is, as a progressive, you'd rather have Trump as an opponent because you think he is easier to beat.
Well, yeah, he would be. Yes, he would be easier to beat than Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis would change because I think the progressives. No, excuse me. I think the independents would take Ron DeSantis. The ones that believe in Trump's policies. Remember, DeSantis will go with Trump's policies. The thing is, he's smarter about it. He won't show you his hand.
I think we agree on that. I got to move it on, man. Appreciate you coming through, Preacher. Always good to have a sermon with Preacher. All right. Looking in the comments, I like Preacher's objectivity, says Fancy Prancy. Certainly a friend of the program, Fancy. Appreciate that. Progressives are baby killers. Lifestyle, I can't really see the rest of that, Coach, but progressives are baby killers. Wow. Really? That's a strong opinion. Trump is done, says Go Ask Alice. Nah, brother, you can't be crazy and Trump party to get voted in. I don't quite get that comment. Biden calling MAGA all kinds of shit. MAGA women being called cockroaches. Dime bag. I do agree with the Biden speech, the red background. Yeah, he definitely gave a very divisive speech. However, I have to point out that by the time Biden gave that speech, is there anybody that believed when Biden gave that speech a few months ago in which he talked about ultra MAGA and spoke very negatively of MAGA, at the time he gave that speech, is there anyone watching that believed he was in a position before giving that speech where he could have unified with MAGA? Is there anyone that believes he could have done anything at that point before he gave that speech to get MAGA on his side? So while I agree the speech was divisive, you're talking to a sect of individuals that are going to hate you anyway. You know, I mean, he could get up there and say everything positive he wants. That group of people, talking about my beloved MAGA folks, and tap the screen, get your boy up to 25,000 likes. These lazy ass thumbs in here, plenty of patriots and liberals alike in here. Tap the screen. But yeah, make no mistake about it. I'm not defending Biden's speech. I'm not making excuses for what President Biden had to say. I'm just simply saying it was a wash. It was a toss-up at that point. He was not going to unify MAGA in the summer of 2022, no matter what the hell he had to say. You don't agree with his border policies. You don't agree with the woke culture, the defense of LGBT, trans going in different bathrooms and shit like that. Biden is everything that you disagree with in regards to America. He is making America awful again if you're MAGA. So the speech is meaningless. You already don't like the guy. So I don't know if there was anything that Biden could have done that was going to get any type of response other than criticism. I just saw a clip the other day where Biden was in Texas and folks were suggesting, why would you come to a border town and not visit the border? Is there anything that Biden could go to the border and say that the right would be like, okay, now he's on some shit? You took too late. Even if he goes down there and says, I want to build a wall, you took too late. You took too long. I mean, there's at some point, whether you're on the right or the left, just like folks who suggest that Trump was being attacked from day one. At some point, you have to cut your losses and understand, I am trying to win over a crowd that is not going to like me anyway. Trump has folks out there like that, and so does Biden. MAGA is not winnable for Biden. Certainly if Trump or DeSantis is running for office, there's nothing Biden can do to unite with MAGA. They don't want shit to do with him. They want him out of office. Most of them don't even think he's mentally fit enough to run. So giving unifying speeches to MAGA is probably not even worth the paper they're written on if you're Joe Biden. Going back to the box. Bionic Man Keith. Good afternoon, Bionic Man.
Hey, how's it going, Tim?
It's going good. Good to hear from you again. What do you think in regards to liberals having an unfavorable view of President Biden? Why is that? Why is he so unfavorable even with his own party?
I just think it's the age thing. You know, people want new blood. It's like 2 callers ago, he did say something that I did agree with. It's like 2 callers ago, he did say something that I did agree with, and having a cognitive test for people that start getting older. It's like
Yeah,
one
but
thing that I was going to ask you about is, what do you think? It's like we all have tests to take. Whether you're taking a bar, whether you're an HVAC mechanic, you got to take a test. You go to college to get any kind of degree, you got to take tests. Like in the trades, you got to take tests, no matter what. But you go to become a politician, you don't got to
yeah,
take a test for anything.
here's my rebuttal to that though. I think just like when Barack Obama's citizenship was being questioned, they were telling him release his birth certificate. He released his birth. Well, that's not the right one. We need to see the loan form. I believe that if President Biden took a cognitive test, people would say they didn't ask the right questions, or the doctor who gave him approval was a liberal. He donated money to Democrats. I think that no matter what the results of that cognitive test would be, you're going to have certain people who have made their mind up that this guy does not know where the hell he's at. They're not going to accept the results of any test.
Yeah, but you have set cognitive tests that doctors give for
Yeah.
like dementia. You know what I mean? Those are set tests in the medical, like,
Yeah.
So they have to have some kind of standardization to do something like that. I mean, when I look at somebody like, and you know that I'm an independent, when I look at Fetterman, when I look at Walker, and I look at some of these people, whether it's on the right or the left, I even look at stuff that AOC or Maxine Waters have said. You look at a lot of the Republicans on stuff that they say. And I've said this to you in the past. When you remember when the lottery was like $2 billion, and I said
Yeah.
I was going to back you for Congress
Yeah.
because I thought
Yeah.
you were 98% smarter than these idiots.
I
Remember
was
that?
an honor. Yeah, I do remember
Right.
that.
It's like when I look at these people and I go, these people, like, you like, shouldn't all three branches of our government, you have to take a test and not just one? You had to pass the bar to become, like, to get into the
I
Supreme
don't, but
Court.
here's the problem, though. I would submit to you that some of our smartest individuals in history, some of the most well-renowned geniuses, say some shit that's so crazy they might not even pass that test. How many folks on the right are constantly touting Kanye West as a genius? You think he'd pass a cognitive test with some of the crazy stuff he says? Folks on the right think Kanye West is the next Einstein.
You got a point there.
Yeah. So I don't know if
And
they would.
nowadays, I'm looking at the Supreme Court, and I'm going, like,
Yeah,
what is up with them?
exactly. So I don't, in my opinion, if you had a cognitive test, people would say either the test questions are outdated or they don't trust the doctor that gave you the stamp of approval. Maybe he cheated for you. I mean, it would be just like the election. You're just not going to accept the results.
Like, I remember, I'm older than you are. It's like, I remember a time when you had, who was the opposite of Ruth? Like, who was Ruth Bader Ginsburg's friend that had passed away?
Justice Scalia?
Yeah, Justice Scalia. And they were good friends.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't
Yeah.
politically match up, they were on, but, there were things that they did agree on that they voted together on throughout time. And those things are long gone.
I disagree. And this is why, I hate to blame Trump, but I do believe in the era of Trump, we've been taught that negotiating with the other side is weakness. Before Trump, I think that you had the Justice Scalia's and Ruth Bader Ginsburg's, you had Senator Biden working with Newt Gingrich. I think that those times are again going to be ahead of us. We just got to get out of our mind that if you negotiate with the other side, you're weak. Even when Chris Christie was on video, on screen, walking the beaches with Barack Obama after Sandy Hook, which is before Trump, by the way, people were criticizing him because we got this mindset that you must hate the other side. We just got to get out of that, and we can get back to what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I remember after, after 9/11, when they were all on the steps of Congress and they were all holding hands.
Right.
And you probably remember that.
Yep.
And I thought it was a great moment in American history because I was like, finally, we agree on something. It's like, at least for one moment in time, we were unified on something.
Well, anytime somebody is threatening to whoop all of our ass at the same time, we're going to unify. I mean, when George Bush stood on the rubble of the World Trade Center and said, "I hear you," and the people who knocked these buildings down are going to hear all of us soon. I was not a Bush fan at all, but that brought tears to my eyes. Yes, let's go kick some ass. We all felt like that. So, but
we were pissed.
It sucks that we have to actually be killed before we come together.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. One thing I did want to mention, it's like when I was looking at this election yesterday, and everybody in the country, well, not everybody, but there was a large part of the country that was looking at this election, I'm thinking, I don't know what the big deal is, because that didn't really matter. You had 50. Well, you had 50-50 before with Kamala making the deciding vote.
Here's why it mattered. You're now replacing people like Joe Manchin and Christine Sinema with Warnock. Warnock is more likely to vote to the left than having a fight with Manchin. You need some people to fill in the blank for Democratic Senator Joe Manchin because he can't be counted on. Joe Biden would have accomplished a hell of a lot more liberal policies if it wasn't for Joe Manchin in a way. So Warnock was needed. In fact, they probably need somebody to replace Kristen Sinema too.
So you're saying that we shouldn't have like independents then? Because isn't he voting more as an independent?
That's a good point. I don't disagree with that. But when the commander-in-chief is not an independent, having independent senators out, while I agree we need them, if you support a liberal or a right-wing commander-in-chief, those independents are not likely to be on your side. I mean, can you imagine if we had a Republican senator that was voting against Trump 30% of the time like Joe Manchin was? I mean, he wouldn't be safe walking around.
Right.
He would have to be in hiding.
Right. We call them rhinos, right?
You would be calling him a target. I mean,
right.
He would be more than a rhino if he didn't vote for Trump. If he only voted with Trump 70% of the time, like Joe Manchin, calling him a rhino would not be enough. He would be a target.
I mean, it went like Cheney. She lost her job because she went against Trump.
Yeah, and look at Cheney. Even though the right despises her, she voted with Trump well over 90%, like 95% of the time. The only reason Cheney is despised is because she ran afoul of him on January 6th. If you look at Trump, all 4 years in office, up to January 6th, go back to January 5th, the day before what happened on January 6th. How was Cheney viewed among the Republican Party? She would have easily been reelected. The only reason Cheney is not in office is because Trump did not accept the election results, ended up being there the day all of that mess happened, and she spoke out against it. But her policies, her legislation, her sticking with the Republican Party, she would have easily got reelected. All of this bullshit that she wasn't doing anything for us in Wyoming, nobody was saying that on January 5th. They didn't start saying that until she ran afoul of Trump.
Now, I seen something in the news that the New York courts found his family guilty of tax evasion and like fraud and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. And you know something, because his daughter now did not show up when he announced he was running for president. I do believe that because of the hatred for Trump and all the stuff he's involved in, his family could face backlash. So I wanted to ask you that, and I'll ask folks in the audience before I move it on. Do you see the enthusiasm of Trump 2024 as being equal, less than, or the same as Trump's enthusiasm for Trump 2020 and Trump 2016? Do you see the enthusiasm for his latest campaign being greater, stronger, or the same as the previous campaigns?
Oh, I think it's less. I think people are kind of fed up with this. I think that if this snowballs into something to where a lot of his, the tax stuff comes out and it makes him, unable to run for president, I think, and I voted for him in the first election. And I mean, I'm one of these people that I just hope that he goes away. Because I don't think that he's good for the country. And I didn't have a problem with his policies. I just have a problem with the man. And I'm not a big fan of Biden either.
So when he ran in, so you didn't support Trump in 2020?
No, I didn't vote for either one of them in 2020.
Fair enough. Okay. All right, I got to move it on, Bionic Man. You know what we do here.
All right, man. Have a good one. I'm still waiting to hit that big lottery, man. And I'm gonna push for you to run for Congress.
It's always an honor, man. Let me know when. Catch you later.
All right. And I'm gonna push for you to run for Congress.
It's always an honor, man. Let me know when. Catch you later.
All right.
Folks, as usual, unfortunately, I do got to terminate the live. I am on lunch break. Got to pull myself up by my bootstraps and go back to work. As I always, fortunately, I do got to terminate the live. I am on lunch break. Got to pull myself up by my bootstraps and go back to work. As I always say, you could be anywhere you want to be on TikTok. And the fact that you're here rolling with your boy, I appreciate that. Tonight's show, I want to talk to you guys about something. I will be on tonight at 7 for sure. Kanye West suggested that the Jewish folks should forgive Adolf Hitler. He said this while having a meeting with the leader of the Proud Boys. What do you think about that? I'll catch you guys tonight at 7 p.m. For you guys who are new, follow the broadcast. As always, it is a MAGA-friendly program. I don't ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. The fact that you may disagree with the host never means a damn thing. Where can I find you at night, Fancy Prancy? I haven't been on for the last few nights, but I will be on tonight at 7 p.m. Central. So, yeah, follow the broadcast for you guys who are new here. Helps out your boy, helps out the algorithms. Appreciate the 27,000 likes. I'll catch you guys tonight at 7. Take care.